Good morning. I am higher vibrations, and so are you. And the reason that it's set as a live Q&A is I didn't have any of the information to like uh, create for the guest that I expect to have on. But so since there's this awesome moment right now where we can chat for a bit, I did look at your comments earlier. I see that Vanya's here. Well, this is a nice surprise. Vegan Vixen, hey Mila, this is wonderful. Thank you. I'm so glad you can come, all of you. Lavender Sky Panthers here. Deborah says, hey, this is a nice to see. Thank you, Mila. Energies are so intense. They really are right now. It's crazy how much. Oh no, I lost it. I have to now it's officially live on my YouTube. Okay. And then also anyone feeling extremely anxious and depressed and struggling a bit. This is actually something a lot of people have been reporting about. There's a lot of this. See, what we're going through right now, what we're all experiencing on some level or another, is a dip in this like turbulence almost kind of stuff that we're doing. Um, it's energetically speaking, and it's not even that big of a dip. I've been given the visions over and over again of like speed bumps in like a grocery store or like the parking lot, of like some type of place like that has those big speed bumps. But it feels like we're going deeper than we actually are because the lift that we're also having right before it. And so just so you guys know that that's something that a lot of us are reporting on right now. There's been some really weird stuff that I'm just going to say it because like people fading in and out. These aren't people that have any, like, I don't know, like I it's really weird. I'll see someone, and it's not somebody that I'm like talking to, but they're people that are walking around the neighborhood, and they fade out for a minute, like they disappear for a minute. And I know it sounds really strange, but I've been observing it, and I've been having people interact with me strangely, where on occasion I am clearly not visible to them somehow, and then I become visible and it startles them. Now that one I didn't say until a couple of days ago because uh, I hadn't heard anyone else talk about it. And I just, maybe the people are distracted or who knows what's going on. But then they're also like mumbling, "Are you real?" Like they're almost talking to themselves, but it's not like offensive. It's like really mystified, kind of an energy coming off of them. As we all are empaths, so we can feel what someone's intention is, what the energy behind it is, the emotion body. Anyway, this also has to do with these dips, man, and these peaks. Is that we're raising our frequency now to the point that some things aren't in our visible range any longer. I know it's so crazy to say that, but oh, hey, Justin is here. I'm gonna bring him on in.
Well, hello.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm doing fine. I've been busy here rediscovering an ancient civilization. So, that's there's a lot going into it, but I'm making good progress. So,
Awesome. Well, yeah, there's a lot happening energetically right now. So we're all in some type of project mode.
yeah. Well, it's funny. I was thinking before we were talking, I was like, okay, now. As I've been sort of isolated in a hyper creative mode, kind of bouncing around from one idea to the next in my way. I'm like, all right. So for this podcast, is it me, Justin, or is it the character that I'm playing in the quantum world?
Right, right.
So I thought, what a fun concept, the idea of kind of rebranding what I'm doing, which is working with the EE system and scalar waves and biophotonics, and trying to weave that into sort of an experience where people can, if they're ready to come in for therapeutic reasons, wonderful. If they're not and they just want to know more about it, then I'm kind of building an experience around it that I think is going to be hopefully a lot of fun. and also help to serve a lot of purposes in helping to raise the collective vibration overall. So
Awesome.
stay tuned. We'll see.
Well, you just said a lot of things that some people that are watching may not know what they mean. So, do you mind if I ask a few questions?
Please,
All
I
right.
love it.
Well, first of all, Justin here, I didn't really introduce you because I was kind of, if I'm, everything works out exactly as it's supposed to. Um, and Justin here is an awesome light worker that I recently connected with, and I'm still getting to know him too. But he has such an amazing energy, and he also devotes the majority of his every day to uplift and assist the collective energetically, spiritually speaking, and for health and wellness and a lot of different layers of that. And so I did grab, by the way, I'm just saying this live right now, just because some people might want it. I did grab in your email the website link to the Harmonic Health Club. Can I share that with the audience so they can contact you?
So, what would probably be better than that would be to go ahead and share my Instagram, which is also Harmonic Health Club, with the reason being that because of so many transitions over the past few months, my website right now is just still under construction. It will be back up and running soon, so feel free to share it. But the Instagram would be able to reach me more directly, and then for folks that are interested, they could perhaps see some, if they wanted to, for example, check out the e-system and learn more about that, there would be a way for them to kind of navigate that pretty easily.
Mhm.
But yes, here very close, I would love to get back with you on that, and we can share the finished product for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so it's Harmonic Health Club. I don't do Instagram, so are you supposed to do like a hashtag or something?
Do just the @sign at Harmonic Health Club.
Okay.
And that's probably the best way right now. I'm working. I'm actually trying to see if I can slow time down a little bit, just to get me all the way ready, so that when I begin to announce the new summer schedule and things, it'll be ready to go. So if this podcast comes your way and you're interested, Harmonic Health Club on Instagram, and reach out to me. I'll fill you in on the details.
Okay. Sounds awesome. And what is that? What is the EE system? Like, there's a lot to it.
There is. I'm so glad you asked. So the EE system is to my knowledge, the most current form of utilizing scalar and biophotonic waves. So think of quantum waves. More on that in a little bit, but basically using them in terms of a wellness capacity for body, mind, and spirit. And the reason for that is because what takes place is this system creates a scalar and biophotonic toroidal field. So if you can kind of imagine, your torus shape, kind of a donut that's maybe moving up and in and down and around. It creates a field that our cells in our body respond very well to. Basically, all of our cells have an electrical charge, and as we go through life and deal with various things like aging and toxins in our environment, and all kinds of things, our bodies can tend to slow down, and one of the things that takes place as a result of that is our overall cellular charge just has a tendency to decrease. Well, what we're finding is that this field actually reverses that. It gives all of our cells a very potent electrical charge, and the first thing that happens is people start to feel better. Their mood is elevated. They might find that they experience better sleep and so on and so forth. But ultimately, if they stick with it for a while and they, raise their overall collective millivolts, what then begins to happen is pain will diminish, and chronic conditions that we're seeing begin to move in the right direction. I think it's all because our bodies are kicking into gear, wanting to do what they actually beginning to do what they want to do naturally, which is be in a state of homeostasis and working to, sort of repair and rejuvenate and heal itself. And what we're finding is that this really enhances that process. So, I was
Right.
curious about that with my background as both a certified health coach and a professional consultant, also as a Reiki master, sound therapist, and so on. I realized that what I want to be when I grow up is actually a galactic wizard that joins the circus. Yes, but
Yeah.
that's just my way of actually kind of saying that. I just really had a belief that the age of frequency is here. It's everywhere that you look, and so I wanted to be among the first to be able to work with this special modality, and
Yeah.
kind of test it out and see what the capabilities are. And I tell you, it's been such an honor and a pleasure to be able to work in that. Um, I actually have a guy in session right now who's trying something different. He's got a device that has some flashing lights and simulates kind of a known experience that's kind of big in the mental health world, kind of a psychedelic experience, ketamine, if you're familiar. So we're working with that today. And so I'll let you know what happens, but it's just one example of so many different ways that this technology can go. Um, so yeah, it's I guess what started off as a sort of a desire to build a practice around a frequency modality. I thought, well, what would be a way to do that? Well, how about weaving sound into the equation? Uh,
Yeah.
from what I've heard, people have been utilizing sound for a very long time to, experiment with cellular health because it bypasses the mind and goes right to the cells. So situations like this pack a whole lot of frequency into the field as well.
Right.
Uh, and so much so that I've had the instruments outside kind of playing in the backyard to see, what I can find. Um, the other day, I believe I actually captured a rainbow tube of 528, bliss energy, and I was actually working with it in the yard. So, if you're curious about that, check it out on the YouTube channel. It was quite an experience.
So
But
you have a YouTube channel?
I do also at Harmonic Health Club. Uh,
Okay.
and so, you can find me there where there's some sound meditations. I'm trying to, work some of the, you know, random pieces of metal that I found laying around here in this ancient civilization.
Right on. That's really cool. And doing it outside like that right that for me is like, you know, like I'm always trying to get out of the box. That's what I call it when I'm trying to get out of buildings. Like I don't want to be inside. I want to be
Well,
out.
yes, and I tell you, this is actually Harmonic Health Club 2.0. The last version was more of a brick and mortar situation. In a lovely little sort of a strip mall shopping area. Um, and there certainly wasn't anything wrong with that. I mean, it was kind of like going to the chiropractor, the massage therapist, what have you, and I just remember thinking, it really would be neat if after a session where people go into a deep meditation, from what I'm hearing, even experienced, people experienced with their own meditative practice, find that the ease of, kind of dropping in and, going about their meditation is, it's a different experience here. And I thought, well, what if we could weave that into kind of an outside experience where we could do a little post-session integration. Maybe get a little fire going in the fire ring, or put your feet in the saltwater pool. Kind of make it more of an experience where before you get in your car and, do whatever you're going to do next, you have a chance to talk about it, to learn about it, possibly to, book another session or what have you. So,
Right.
my hope is that, also catching the eye of folks like yourself that are like, what if we decided to come on a full moon and could have a little a full moon session both inside and out. It seems
Yeah.
like there's people out there that might enjoy that kind of a thing.
Heck yeah, dude. Especially on like an impactful window. Closer
Yeah.
to, this is usually how it works. I've noticed in these spiritual retreat kind of things, is that around Lionsgate is when everyone wants to go.
Okay.
Especially if it's on Lionsgate. It's one of
Yes.
those things. And like that's August 8th. So that's
Yes.
on a Tuesday this year. But
Uh, a very powerful day in the Harmonic Health Club history. Actually, the very first official session that was kind of like after the little soft opening with family and friends was actually at Lionsgate.
right
So
on.
here we
Yeah.
go again, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
So
I love
fun.
the idea that channeling that the portal days, the solstices, equinox, things of that nature. Certainly there's I believe there are a lot of folks out there that like to kind of honor those days in some fashion,
Yes.
and it would seem that a variation on that theme would be a welcome a welcome addition, and would kind of give me an opportunity to spend some time hopefully with my kind of get a little sense of community going around
Yeah.
this. So but it's like gosh, I didn't bring this to Kansas City to keep it all to myself. I want to
Right.
share it with folks and sort of crack the code on how to coax the members of the lovely Kansas City area and beyond to come hang out. It's pretty
Yeah.
fun. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. In fact, I'll show you one more thing here that you know oftentimes when you're talking about the small short term goals, the kinds of things that might happen after one or two sessions, as with most things, yeah, it the testimonials and the things that do come out about this technology are very impressive and very real. We're seeing many of the same things here, right here,
Yeah.
basically improvement across all therapeutic areas. We also know that, with the way the body's designed, sometimes this takes time. You can go to the gym and have an amazing workout, but that doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden going to be in amazing shape. You might have to build on that. And, knowing that and wanting to say, well, once people kind of begin to experience what, how they're going to respond, which usually happens, about 5 or 6 sessions for a lot of folks. Sometimes it's much sooner than that, but about that time, that's when they're like, yeah, I'm starting to see some results. So I thought, well, what would be a good way that I could explain to people, how they might respond if, because everybody's a little different, right? It's hard to say. So I
Yes.
thought, well, let me see if I can find one of the locals around here that's been hanging out and see what she has to say about it. So this is my friend Rose,
Oh, yeah, let's go. Figure.
and she's feeling very vibrant these days. She says, she says, I'm not sure what's going on, but this massive amount of life force energy around this place has me blooming so much that I falling down. In fact,
Wow.
I gave her a big drink, but I thought, the plants tell a lot of the story in the
Yeah.
sense that, I'm just coming out of winter, and if I could show you what's happening on the inside, the plants have never been happier.
Right.
Um, you know, which is
Wow.
that kind of substantiates the idea of I heard of an E system center owner that was in a kind of a more rural area, and there was corn and such kind of growing around the area. And after the system came in, the yields just exploded,
Right.
and so it's one thing to be able to the combination of our own power of thought and our heart centered, our heart coherence energy, and our ability to work with that. This is something that we all have access to,
Yeah.
and to be able to. You know, have people kind of come in and experience. It's sort of a hard thing to put into words, right?
Right.
So, well, how can we kind of get that message across in a different way? Well, we can see what happens with our animal friends. Dogs and cats respond very well. Tumor reduction, eyesight improvement,
Yep.
increased mobility, and plants. I mean, all the other variables are the same, but they just are so happy. And I
Yes.
think that if one is open minded to the idea that these quantum uh, life force waves can just by creating an environment can actually enhance life, then I want to shout it from the
Yeah.
rooftops.
In fact, I don't know if you've been able to see the comments as I pulled them up. There have been a few comments. Like, I know personally several people who use the same brand device to cure cancer for real. I've heard many stories of this as well.
Well, and this is the funny thing. I had a lot of fun with the idea about I hereby claim that I am not going to make any claims on
Right.
this about any claims real or imagined, right? However, I've seen some things that have happened that definitely are the kinds of things that would be in the big win
Right.
column. People that are recovering from things like cancer that have been coming in periodically, all their scans remain clean. People that have come in with a bit of a scare, maybe they got a scan and they're like, uh-oh, so they wanted to hit it, fairly aggressively in the short term. After the follow-up scan, all clear. So it didn't take long to, see what was going to happen and what can happen if people come in and, you know, uh, my job is basically to hold the space and to inject some frequency and to, our heart centers are a big source of scalar waves as well. And so if we can inject that, I mean, my gene key has let me know that I'm supposed to bring the joy and bring
Right.
the fun. So if I can bring that kind of energy, which by the way, I understand is also good for creative ventures and healing,
Right.
it's love. And so, if we can bring that in and enhance it and ask the cells in our body to cooperate, then it is reasonable to begin to expect miracles.
Oh, hey,
So
we have somebody in the audience. Megan Nelson says, I can say it works magic.
yes, hey, thank you for that. It's so new. I mean, I'm inside of this box all day long, and so for me, it's my world. But I have to remember that for many out there, this is still a very new thing. And so, if you've experienced it, please spread the word. Encourage people of the market that might be interested in this. If they need to go if they have a center, because it's not easy for center owners right now. In fact, most of them are trying to use the miracle frequency to help keep their own miracle
Right.
alive. But for me right now, that's to be able to share it with all of you. In fact, that's another little topic that we could I would love to maybe even spend some time on doing a remote session where I have something set up kind of like we're doing now, and I could work sound and some other things. Gosh, if I tried hard enough, I could probably work earth, wind, and fire into the equation, and not just the band. so.
Right
So,
on.
the idea of playing around with this quantum concept, maybe a group of people that are friends or family that are even in different, different spots on the planet,
Yeah.
but that we could not only tap in through computer technology, but also we could join in a quantum way. And I don't know if anybody else is doing that yet, but
Well, I can say that I discovered remote healing in 2020,
okay.
like in a practical application sense. And I remember talking with my guides repeatedly about it because I kept feeling like I was getting the wrong message because my logic was in conflict with what they were telling me, which
Sure.
is we can do remote healings. In fact, I do them. And when I have sessions that I do with people, and on occasion there's a request for some type of healing that is to do with energy healing rather than the talk kind of stuff that we typically do. And
Well,
it's worked every time.
that is well, and from our brief encounters together, first of all, I'm not surprised. I think that it's such a beautiful way, the way that you use your gifts, and all of that, and while it's been brief, I would love to continue to explore that. Together, possibly in collaboration or whatever might align, because during the full moon over, here's where I get to kind of drop into the uh, as they like to say on the street, the woo woo side of things. During the full moon, it was just me kind of out here going, well, what's possible? What is this? Is this something? What can I experience? What can I be shown to help me? Uh, uh, you know, know if there would be an alignment for others to want to come and experience this as I am gonna. I went through. Uh, uh, Sort of I guess you could call it like a dress rehearsal of a sound program, and played with some camera angles and some lighting. And I'm like, would this be cool? And so, but again, I'll have some videos soon. I'd love to share them with you and just kind of get your feedback so that then people can kind of begin to crystallize in their mind what's possible. And, if it looks cool, guess what? The calendar's wide open.
Right on, right on. Well, I have some kind of a little bit more personal questions to ask you.
Yeah,
And if
absolutely.
I ask anything that you don't want to answer, please, no big deal.
Okay,
But
sure.
obviously, you're a very spiritually inclined person, and um, a lot, pretty much everybody I have on this show are. Like I actually pretty much isn't everyone that I have on
Wonderful.
this show are. And so I was just wondering, like what led you to what you do now, but most importantly, what was your awakening like when you started to realize that these types of things had priority over what we were perhaps doing before?
Sure. So, what a great question, and typically that's the kind of question that I that will revert to the short story long format, So,
All right.
but yeah, I would say that I've been at this for a while, probably many lifetimes, and I say that because I recall as a pretty vivid memories of my childhood and just various things that I reflect on, recalling having an interest in energy in general. Some of my artwork, some of the things that I would do. What is this energy thing? And I seem to have kind of a natural inclination that by the time I got into, whenever I started understanding about how, well, everything is energy. And, even these concepts of, you know, objects that to us here in the third dimension are solid, we actually know that there's an awful lot of space in these solid objects, and so just kind of beginning to get curious about that, and wondering, well, what are the possibilities? What are the capabilities? Well, that kind of then began to fuse with more of a. I mean, I was always into sports and things like that growing up. I always out doing some sort of outdoor recreation or in season of some kind. And I think that from that, what I learned is that I the the active side of life I do get a lot of enjoyment out of, and that if we feel better in our bodies, we're able to do those things and get more enjoyment out of that. So, that led me into some work in kind of the personal training, nutrition realm. Um, and that kind of bounced around with some different things like that over the years. The other piece is music has always been a big part of my life growing up. And while I could say that I was an okay musician. I played in the high school orchestra, and fiddled around with some you know, some short-lived band projects as a younger guy, you know, but you know, but just never really. While I had a lot of confidence, I mean, I got a scholarship to college and things like that. So it wasn't for a lack of confidence or desire, but also you know, I performed alongside people that were really, really good, you know, and so it's like, well, they're the ones that are going to be you know, the cello virtuoso. They're the ones that are going to be the showcased vocalist or the lead singer of the band or whatever. Didn't even know at the time that there was a whole entire you know, genre that I would one day create, which would be called galactic alchemy, and you could actually use your music skills to not only provide a deep meditative, maybe moving experience, but that you could combine it with other frequencies and that healing might happen. Who knew, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
But to be able to find a way to like do music and do creative in that medium where it also is providing a value has been so amazing to be able to do that. Um, and you know, it really fulfills, you know, that kind of creative niche, and also, you know, to be able to kind of you know, create a structure where something kinds of happens, where I also use a lot of my training from reiki and other things, but also leaves the room for the creative, sort of subjective experience for the energies that might be in that particular session, is a really beautiful place to create. So I love that as well. So, you know, probably about I was probably, you know, 25 or so when I started reading David Icke. So if
Yeah,
anybody's familiar with David Icke, you know, once that happens, like it says
right.
in the first few pages, you're you're in it to win it, right? So thank you, David. But I guess, you know, for you know, for that coming at a time when, like, say, this is probably, you know, actually it was right before 9/11. And so, you know, I remember that because I recall earlier that year, which, just as a little refresher on what an interesting year 2001 was, you know, first we have the Bush Gore elections, then we have, you know, all of the things that do end up leading up to, you know, 9/11. And, you know, with, which even right now, I still am kind of blown away that about, you know, so much of the truths that are beginning to you know, seemingly become available widely now.
Right.
You know, and I remember thinking, well, gosh, I know how this year's going to go. Like it's going to get it's going to get a little crazy, and you know, that in, you know, began to be sort of an awakening of so many different things
Right.
that, you know, sort of choosing my mission to uh, you know, help raise the collective vibration in a body, mind, spirit, energetic way, you know, seems to seems to be, you know, something that, you know, with the reward of utilizing your gifts and doing your calling, that to me feels very soul path oriented. And so that's when we kind of tie in the spirituality piece of really aligning with divine source God frequency to be able to do something, that, you know, it was never about, you know, business to make a lot of money. It was really never about that. I seem to kind of have moved into more of this sort of quantum heart currency type situation.
Mhm.
And while, of course, you know, things do need to have a revenue stream to be able to, you know, exist and all of this, you know, we no problem there. But I really feel that the those that, you know, feel called to this kind of experience, you know, if they want to walk through the, you know, door and, you know, kind of buy the ticket, take the ride, as the saying goes, then I want to deliver, and then it'll just be a beautiful, energetic, high vibration chain that,
Right on.
you know, it goes from one to another to another. You know.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. And it's funny how many people will mention David Icke, by the way, as the input that came in for them that changed their everything.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
uh,
yep. Hello, friends. It's actually as with this with the comments that are going by. I'm not practiced enough at this type of an interaction. I would love to be able to go back and see those if that's possible. And
yeah, you will. So not only is this on, so we're live streaming to YouTube and to Facebook right now.
Excellent.
And
Okay.
I'm putting them up on the screen, unless
Okay.
it's private. Sometimes they're not. It's not private, but they're talking to each other. I'll leave that off the screen if I.
Excellent.
However, yeah, you can, and then you can, when you go back and watch this replay style, you can
Yeah.
click live, and you'll see all the comments as they came in on the time that they did.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is with the momentum around the change of the season and all of that, a beautiful timing to have a chance to kind of talk about it and all that. So I appreciate the kind words coming in.
Joshua Fuller says, "Hey, Justin." Like it's a
Hey,
hand
Josh.
wave.
Yeah. How's it going out there? It's a beautiful day here in the middle of the country. Um, speaking of that, that's another kind of interesting aspect to the idea of working with an energetic field. This idea that kind of in the general area between you and I, often the Ozarks area is kind of what I'm referring to.
Right.
I wouldn't say that I'm an expert in this area, but the idea of having a large amount of crystals, in a lot of places, probably throughout the space between us. I've thought about that since we talked last. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, there's a lot about the energy flow that happens in this particular location.
Yeah.
It's and it's quite noticeable.
Yes. Yeah. I believe it. Um, with so many different components, including maybe where we sit on different ley lines or meridians. I'm still learning more about that, but I've kind of got a renewed interest in that because of the idea that if we really believe that we're they are our energy channels, inside the earth, or a crystal grid, if you will, then the idea to be able to utilize the energies coming from this particular space, to not only charge and interact with that, but possibly broadcast,
Yeah.
that's another interesting way that makes me curious about being able to offer something that, like you're saying, from a like you can do it as a remote anyway, but what happens if we turn it up to 11?
Right. Well, in particular, so what he's talking about, for those of you who don't know, he and I are on other side of the Ozarks, and these mountains are the ones I was showing you guys a while ago, those crystals that just pop up out of the ground. It's like a aloe vera plant will do. They'll have the pups pop up around it. So too does large crystals. And I've long known that these mountains are actually massive megalithic sized crystals that are just have a crust.
Yep.
In fact, I'm going to jump off camera and grab one of those crystals for an example.
Do. And while she's doing that, I'm going to play a little song.
Well, here's one of them.
Well, look at that.
Yeah. This
Very
one,
neat.
there's a bunch of diamond and crystal mines around here. That's where I got this one. But this is what you'll see more than anything else. I haven't cleaned it off because I don't want to, but it's smoky quartz with clear quartz, rose quartz, and copper, along with obsidian. This
Very nice.
is naturally forming these.
Hmm.
That's just,
Excellent.
it's all over here, and you just pick them up, and it's, there's nothing. There was even like, what are they called? National or Forest Service people there, and we even asked just to be sure, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that, please." They pop up all the time. People are always tripping all over them. Take them home.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to come down and go for a crystal hike and see if any want to come my way. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really cool.
sometimes my clients will bring theirs in. The ones that they work with or wear, and charge them in the field, and so keep that in mind. If when you venture up this way, we'll charge your crystals and see what happens.
Right on, right on. Yeah, it's kind of, it worked out perfectly. We got a bunch of these. We got so many of them, and I have one in every corner of every room in this house, and like,
Wow.
and we've drawn the ley lines for them, energy lines, and made sure that it crosses in spaces I spend most time, like this one here, this location in front
Yes.
of the computer. There are so many crystals and so much going on. Like I cross so much paths. Like I'll get rainbows that just appear here, you
Yeah.
know?
Wow. Yes. Lovely.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, yeah. It's really fascinating. The rainbow in particular, when they will kind of appear, with kind of that prism effect, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's one of the I'm really interested to have others come over and kind of experience the space, for that, because um, what I'm beginning to be curious about is what is the relationship between these sort of 5D or quantum waves and sort of our regular light spectrum,
Right.
because the sessions take place inside, right? And oftentimes it's I would say dimly lit to dark. People are meditating, and so that would be an appropriate environment for that kind of a session. However, what's it like on the outside?
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of curious to see what others think, because um, you know right on the other side of that wall, I mean, if the wall wasn't there, we would absolutely be in what would be considered the field. And if you were to imagine a larger center,
Yeah.
that's maybe the size of a, I don't know, a ballroom, maybe just a bit large, but my point being is that it's the scalar waves, they don't stop. They just keep right on waving, and so it's when the sun is kind of at that golden hour type spot in the sky, or if there's a great big yellow moon rising.
Right.
It does seem to me to at least be a subtle effect, and so I'm gonna invite some of my good friends over and see what they say.
Right on. I would be interested to see what would happen with a quantity, like a large number of individuals, all kind of like, because we are all magnets and conductors ourselves, of many different electromagnetic currencies. This toroidal field is, and that's what I was doing when you were talking at the very beginning. I was looking for an example, but I found it too late. We were done talking about toroidal field. I was going to bring up an image, but
To your point of kind of the having some numbers and things of that nature, I would say that an absolute yes to that. What I mean is certainly if there's say a session of 10 people or however many, maybe more, versus a session with 2 to 4, is a kind of a different dynamic. You've got more energies in the room, and so on and so forth. And what often happens most of the time is people are kind of coming in, working on their own things, as it should be. They're coming in to kind of do more solo work. Now there have been some occasions, like a Lionsgate, for example, where there is at least some sort of common theme. But what if you were to go even a step further with that and have a very like-minded group that has an understanding and a curiosity about that very thing? Now it's like, well, you're not just putting together an event with you know whomever. It's got kind of a little bit more oomph behind the intention, because
Right.
these are people that have their own practice of working with in this realm, you might say.
Right.
So I would say that uh, again, kind of a Lionsgate type event, or possibly. Oh, I don't know. I did some pretty focused pineal gland work with some folks for a while. So we did a short series about that, over the course of 4 weeks or so, um, which also did produce some very interesting results. The idea of sort of that decalcification process and other detox happening in a way that combines the not only the scalar frequencies, but also the sonic frequencies. We're hearing a lot about how that's a great way to get some movement in that regard. Um,
Right.
Yes. So listen, I do apologize. My session is about to end down there. So
Okay.
I hope I'm not cutting it short. What I'd love to do is follow up with you at first opportunity, and then maybe see if we could do this again when I've got when I'm a little bit closer. Maybe broadcast from the special room out there or something.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love to connect with you again very much. And thank you so much for coming on. The contact here is Instagram, Harmonic Health Club. And then you also have a YouTube channel, which is also Harmonic Health Club. And, I am so honored to have you on today.
Oh,
And thank you
thank
so much for this, all the service that you provide for humanity and the collective. And I look forward to connecting with you again.
Thank you for making my day. This is I'm kind of new at this sort of an experience, and it was my pleasure to participate. And I love the
You did
fact that
great.
you've got such a beautiful community, and I look forward to joining in and being a part of the higher vibrations group. It's there's a big resonance. Woo! So
Awesome.
uh, have a wonderful day, everybody. Pamela, we'll see you again soon.
All right. Thank you.
Okay,
I hope
bye bye.
blessings.